Hi, this is Jackie with Solutio. In this video, I'm going to talk about tables or table templates and some etiquette around editing tables inside the websites, inside our websites. So first, I want to look at this article called Styles. This is what we see on the Styles page, and we have already created a couple of different table classes. And it used to be that you would have to go to the HTML to use these, but we've recently, and this is late March of 2021, we recently updated a feature called table templates. Al talked about this, I think, in the last hour of Power. We're still rolling out to all those sites, so there's certain things that if you don't see on your site, go ahead and reach out to us and let us, or say, hey, can we get that? There will be one restriction to that is, as some of our sites haven't had a redesign in several years. If you haven't had a redesign in the last 2 or 3 years, you may not have a template, and that's a website template that is new enough to make use of this feature. Otherwise, this is what you should see in the styles page, which you might be able to get to from the control panel, or just type /styles after your domain name to view this page. And we have a fancy table, an equal table, flex, and then we've got a couple of defaults if you want to do alternating backgrounds. But most important, I also want to recognize that of these tables, I have no content in these. They're blank by default. Is that especially equal table and flex table, is that they will, the rows will stack into columns on mobile. So if you have some content in multiple rows that need to be together on mobile, they need to be all in the same row in order to stack and stay together respectively on mobile. On that same note, on this page of this website, we have here at the bottom like some registration links and a need to be able to see those on this screen. I'm going to propose what's called the alternate table on this site. So by default, we have just, and it looks like maybe Aiden on our team has been in here and made a couple of adjustments, but we're not quite there to where we want that to look, to where it fills the width on desktop, but then on mobile, those cells will stack. So first I'm going to give a demonstration of our table templates, and then I'm going to get to that article specifically. To make use of these tables or to add them to your articles, you should now see a little icon on the toolbar called Insert Template. This is not in our training manuals. We have, as of version 3.6, CMS 3.0 version 3.6 does not contain this in the training manual. But if this button doesn't exist yet, one, check with us to see if it can be added, and two, if your template is new enough, we'll get it added. So under Insert Template, as long as my mouse cursor is where it needs to be in the article, I'm going to choose Insert Template, and then I have a drop down of options to choose from and make use of on the site. So I'm going to add and pick any one of these. And I know that some of them will give you a preview on this screen. Others, because there's no borders or colors in the background, we won't necessarily see. So I'm going to use Flex Table or Fancy Table. Sorry, Flex Table and Equal Table would be the two that you don't see any preview here because there's no background color, there's no borders on this table. But it does look something like this, or if I scroll down, I can see the other example already on this screen. From here, you can either delete rows or add columns. Whoops. But I do have to, I'm using the arrow key on my keyboard. Once I delete a column or a row, it's kind of picky in that it wants me to move to a different cell before I can make another adjustment. So I'm going to just arrow over or just move my mouse. So that would be an equal table. And again, like the example below it, it will stack on mobile. Sometimes I think the alternate rows template is going to be a good option. However, I do know that I think right now, if I were to change the table property to be a 100% width, I don't think it's mobile responsive yet, so I do want to check this out. And if it's not yet, we'll make this adjustment in our CSS so it either becomes mobile responsive. Maybe we'll give you two options: a mobile responsive option and a non-mobile responsive option, so that if you can have a smaller table that doesn't change on mobile. Let me add a few more of these. Again, I'm using the arrow key on my keyboard to navigate from cell to cell rather than the tab button, because a tab on in the internet will just take me to the next field. The other thing I want to point out is that I could have, instead of putting the table property with 100%, I could have done what's called a drag the cell of a table, or a height or a width, or even these corners, those white corners that are available there. However, that does give the table what's called a fixed width. So let me go ahead and do that. And you can, it's expanding past this view, and then in the toggle editor or source code, if I look for this table, I now have a width for every single cell here in this table. And that width will stay even on a mobile device. That width is gonna be retained, and then that's where we get the issue, kind of like on this screen, where maybe we can't see all of the information from a mobile device view of the page. I am not going to save that article, even though I wanted to share with you, or wanted to test the alternate rows one. I'm going to go ahead and, I think at this point it's going to be easier for me to close without saving, and then go back into my article and re-add it again. So thank you for your patience. I guess I can use this one as well, and then set my table width to 100%. And I think as long as none of my, and maybe this will at least condense on mobile, since the width is 100%, but, and I know my cell numbering is off. As long as I don't have any words or phrases that are super, super long without any character breaks. So I think it'll break it at punctuation. But if I have like an email address or a really long URL, then that cell isn't gonna react with the screen size. It's not gonna do a force a word break for something that doesn't have a natural word break. At least not most of the time. It doesn't do that. Okay, so let's check this. I've got my alternate table right here. It does, I think it's a pretty sharp table, but then you'll notice that it's still getting cut off just a little bit. I don't have any option to scroll to the side, and we can't see quite all of that table. Again, that's because this is one word. There's no natural break. But hopefully that's a good example for you of this use. So back on this screen, I want to, let's just go look at that. The other thing I want to point out before I do that is that on all of these tables, if you want to not add a new table, but just update the class of a table that already exists, so that way you don't have to retype things, the part to apply to the table is this part right here, class equals, and then it's whatever we have here on the styles page, top header table, alternate rows. And then if we keep going down the page, we've got top header table. Okay, that one is the same example. So here's flex, don't do that. Flex table, equal table, and below that I've got left header table. And again, it's table space class equals quotation marks, and then we type the class and then quotation marks and close the bracket. So top header, and I think that's all that's on this page. But that should that would be in a way, I think I want to, for now, I just want to go ahead and grab this one, table class equal table, and apply that to that mass times table. I'm going to go ahead and delete this table back out of this example. So now we're going to go to find the mass in confession times article. I think it's this one. And then here, both for this table, I think, and for this one below, I'm just going to find that in the HTML. I guess I've given another example. Oh, this is the Eventbrite widget. I think Eventbrite might just give you a HTML or a URL for a link if you just wanted to use the URL as opposed to adding a widget. Okay, let's see. Table. So sure enough, we've got a fixed height and a width in our table. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out of this. And then this can be tedious, and you can either clear the formatting on the table by itself or take these out. And I do want to leave the text align centerpiece. So I'm just removing width colon, the respective pixels semicolon, and then again for the height I'm doing the same thing. So thank you for your patience with me as I do this. And I think the other one might already be ready to go. So if that gets too tedious, okay, I added equal table there. Sometimes it's faster to do something like this. Or I keep the align center. Great. Okay, so this is where that table ends. And I think we start a new table here. So I'm going to go grab my, oh, instead of copying that one again, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm guessing that the table width, and maybe again that was on our team, not otherwise. But I could proceed with all of that throughout this table to make that happen. Let me, before since that one's going to be a little more tedious, oh, I have an extra bracket there. I'm going to go back here to the toggle editor. So this one's using equal table, everything's still centered. And this one, again, bear with me, Claire, for a moment. I don't think this will clear out the script, but I want to do a faster way of clearing out the width and height of all these cells. So that should still work, and then I should still be able to center everything. And then back inside the table. And now look how much cleaner all of that is. So each one has just a style height. So you can always, like, that one's not as important. That won't be too much of a hindrance. So I won't quite go through all of these, but I want to make sure we still have the start of this table is, okay, so this one is still retained, table class equal table. So now on the screen that should fill the width. And let me look at this page before I save. So right now the only thing that is bolded is the title row of that table. So let me save and refresh. And now everything's spaced out here, but then when I condense it down, each one is broken apart there. So this is where that fixed height is still applied. And then we've got it still down here. So we're not quite there yet. Let's go back into this article. I was hoping the fixed height of those rows wouldn't be an issue, but obviously they are. So I just need TR, which is TR is for table row, TD is for table cell. So anywhere that I've got a table row, that's height 17 pixels. I need to replace that. Again, this is where I think the alternate table would be even better. But that one doesn't currently have, like I said, doesn't currently have equal table. Oh, this is spanning 5 rows. Gotcha. It's like, why is this? Nope. So, rule of thumb in the beginning, don't or refrain from clicking and dragging the cell height, the cell width, or the table width and height. And this will save you a lot of a headache. And then also use the table template to begin with. And then from there, add your content, add your cells and rows and columns so that, yeah, from the beginning, it's mobile responsive and doesn't squish your content on mobile. So I hope this is helpful. I'm almost there, I think, maybe. Thank you for bearing with me through the end of this video. Here's the end of my table. Oops, let me save that. Refresh this page. And then on a mobile view, oops, I'm at the bottom. Did I save the article? I saved the article, right? Okay, there it goes. They're all mobile responsive now. So again, I'll apply the alternate rows and let Claire know that, but otherwise, this is how to use table templates inside of our site, and then also to make sure your table is mobile responsive and friendly. Let us know if you have questions. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.